on that? Are we broadcasting live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Randy. Welcome to the show today. We have Randy and and we're here broadcasting live for you and the world. So I'm going to give it off to you, Randy. What would you like to start talking about today? We have a lot of hot topics.
I guess the hottest thing going on right now is the Nashville shooting.
The transgender shooter?
Yes.
Okay. What are your thoughts and opinions about that?
Well, if you look at the body cams, you see what an armed response should be versus the cowardice that we saw earlier. And second, every single school should have at least one armed person there because the transgender turned down one school in favor of that one because it would have been more difficult because they had people there that would defend it.
Okay. Now, my other question to you is, when you went to high school, did you have anybody in your schools armed?
When I went to school, people would have gun racks in the back of their trucks with guns there
Okay.
in the parking lot.
What decade were you in high school?
I graduated in '85.
Okay. Oh, that must have been awesome. So I went to school in the 90s, and we had about 6 undercovers, and they all had, they were all concealed weapons, though. They weren't open carry. So I went to high school in Virginia. Where did you go to high school? What state?
Here in Roanoke Beach.
Okay, so Virginia as well. Okay. So Tennessee, Randy, do you know, is it a red state or is it beige red?
It's very red.
So when we do our research, and I don't have any statistics right here in front of me, more of the schools that you see that took a long time to respond, were they blue states or red states? Do you know?
I think it's 50-50.
Okay.
But if you look at it, all these mass shootings are in gun-free zones.
Exactly.
We did not have those until Joe Biden introduced the bill and had it passed to have gun-free zones. And then they keep talking, we need more laws. Well, walking in and killing people is already against the law. So any new laws would have made no difference.
Okay. I just wanted to share with you, Randy, some of these clippings that I got from articles. Just right off today, it says California Assembly Public Safety Committee hearing about anti-gun bills. Then I have one here, it says updates to ATF final rule on stabilizing braces for your guns. Okay. Then we have Florida House passes constitutional carry. The House voted 76-32 to pass House Bill 543, constitutional carry bill. It will now go to the Senate for further, because how laws are done, because a lot of kids aren't being taught how laws are. It has to be, it starts from the lower house of Congress, which is called the House of Representatives. Once it passed there, it goes to the higher or the upper house, which is called the Senate. And then from the Senate, if they say yay on Bill 543, it will go to the president, and then the president can veto it. Then when a bill is vetoed, that means it's not dead. It goes back to the upper house of Congress, which is called the Senate, and the Senate will vote on it one more time. So that's how that works. Then I have one more for Brian before Brian comes. Oh, I have two.
Well, on the second vote, if they get
Uh-huh.
a certain number of votes, then it overrides the veto and becomes law anyway.
Okay, sorry. I didn't add that part up. You're absolutely right. Sorry. So Nebraska constitutional carry passed second vote, one more vote to go. And then this was March 28th of 2023. That was Tuesday. And then North Carolina right to carry expansion. and permit to purchase, repeal veto, override advances to the House. So that was today, March 28th. The Senate voted 30-19 to override Governor Cooper veto to Senate Bill 41, a bill that recognized law-abiding citizens' right to self-defense while attending a church with a school attached, and also repeals the permit to purchase system. The veto override will now advance to the House and will not be possible without the bipartisan support of SB 41. And then, so the Nebraska one, I just said Nebraska constitutional carry pass, second vote, one more vote to go. That was also Tuesday, March 28th, and that is the Nebraska legislature voted 31-10 to pass Legislative Bill 77. That's LB, which is Legislative Bill 77. That's abbreviation by Senator Tom Brewer. The constitutional carry bill on select file. This bill recognizes the fundamental right to law-abiding adults to carry firearm for self-defense without having to navigate burdensome government regulation. Governor Jim Pallant has pleaded to sign the legislative bill 77, and this is a huge step to constitutional carry becoming law in Nebraska. It has never made it this far, and there is only one more vote before it is sent to the governor's desk. So we'll keep you in prayers, Nebraska. And now I'm going to pass it on to Brian.
Hey everybody, welcome to Maximum Libertarian. I see the gang here didn't even say that. That was a shock to me. But yeah, please go to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, and you can always go to our Twitter page and follow us at We Are Max Lib. So if they didn't say their names, I'm joined today by the one and only Just Randy. And in Spanish, that converts to Charles. So you can call him Spanish, is Just Randy. And then we got Lydia sitting in on the third mic. So
Spanish for Brian is dumbass.
And I am Lily, happy to be here.
All right, absolutely. So what we're doing here today is I was hoping to have a fourth person on the mic. I'm trying to get the new studio put together. Obviously, the aesthetics is not there yet, but if we can get the microphones working so we can hear each other, is everyone hearing everyone on the mic headsets?
Yes.
Barely, but yes.
Okay, well, we're going to have to work on that, but that's a whole nother story. I guess we don't want to bore the crowd with it. So y'all were talking about the transgender shooting down there at the down over in Tennessee. Everyone's calling for gun legislation. You know, we got to ban assault weapons. The problem that you have when you have this, in my opinion, it seems like a lot of times folks don't know what a assault weapon is, since there's many different definitions each state. They also believe that, like I think it was Hillary Clinton posted, that you just need a clip that has 10 bullets. If you ever watch a video, 10 bullets isn't a lot. And a lot of times you see cops and whoever the individual is shooting at each other and they're missing each other.
Okay.
What gets me is all these people who have never held a gun in their life, know nothing about guns, get in government and try to talk like they're an expert and preach to everybody else of what you should and should not have. And people don't have guns to just defend themselves or protect themselves against the government, which is what it was for in the first place. There's some places in this country, that's what puts food on the table when they go hunting. So you ban all this stuff. You're telling people, oh, we don't care if you're self-sufficient and can take care of yourself. You will starve like the rest of us.
Right, absolutely. That's the problem that we have here.
If I can interrupt for 1 second. Okay, so I like going to the actual laws of what is happening. So if anybody wants to look up what I'm saying, it's at congress.gov/bills. So we have right now active S163, the short act, and we also have HR 646, which is also part of the short act, and then the Bump Stock Loophole Act of 2023. And I like bringing all the stuff to Brian so he can actually see physically what the representative looks like. I got a picture of, what is it? Representative Dina Titus, Titus. And she is a Democrat from Nevada, District 1. And she represents, she's been in office since 2013. And she started the HR 396, closing the Bump Stock Loophole Act. And so this woman right here believes that we should not, have these things on our weapons. Now, I call them weapons, people call it guns, it's really up to you. You can tell when people call it weapons or a pistol and stuff like that, that they served in the military. As a Navy vet, I find this very interesting. So the last one I wanted to share with you, Randy and Brian, is the Stop Harassing Owners of Rifle Today Act, or AKA Short Act. Now this is sponsored by Senator Marshall and Rogers, and let's see here. I got a picture of what Senator Rogers looked like. Okay. He's a Republican from Kansas, and he represents District 1. And I have a whole list to print out of all the senators who are on this bill to sponsor, because I think it's very important to know who is on the side on the Second Amendment. We have Senator John Brasso, Senator John Kennedy, Senator Mike Lee, Senator Mike Rouse, Senator Rick Scott, Senator Tommy Tuberville, Senate Katie Britt, Eric Schmidt. There's 19 in total. And then I printed out for Brian what the actual S163, the bill, is all about. And then lastly, I'm not trying to take up all your time here, Brian. I really wanted to, let people understand that congress.gov/bill, or the Library of Congress, has all of these. And HR 646 is also the short act as well. And so if you want to look over this, Brian, it's just showing you who actually wants this and who doesn't. And that's it.
Well, it wasn't until the 20s or 30s that they started having income restrictions. And what these idiots don't seem to understand, when they wrote the Constitution, they were talking about muzzleloaders. They were talking about the most advanced military weapons available at the time, which is what the military and the civilian had, both.
Well, we can own cannons, and we also can own tanks.
Right. Well, I mean, we should be able to own anything. I mean, not that we, just because we should be allowed to own it, don't mean we should own it in some aspects. But at the same time, I think all gun control is just atrocious, and using a situation like this is very poor. Now, I saw Byron Donald's of Florida, and I saw it through Keith Oberman's YouTube page, or I'm sorry, his Twitter page, and he called him an idiot, but it was a small clip, and he said, we cannot use our emotions to make bills. And that's the right answer.
Yeah.
Whenever you go in there with emotion trying to make a bill, you can make a mistake.
Yeah, they have a knee-jerk reaction, and they want to vilify the law-abiding citizen and not the criminal. every time.
Right. And, when I see that, something like that, it drives me nuts because if you remember, was it Newtown? And everyone was passing gun control, and then they passed bills where clips can't have more than 10 bullets. And then come to find out it was cops were breaking the law because their clips had 15 bullets. So they had to rush in because they were doing, as you said, a knee jerk reaction
Well,
to it.
as a side note on that, for people who actually obey the law, concealed carry, people with concealed carry permits obey the law not better than like anyone else. They obey the law better than the law enforcement people. So the
In
ones
some
that,
aspects, I think
in
you can
every
make it.
aspect,
Well, not all. Not
you don't see concealed carry people. They're not going out and doing this stuff. They're stopping this stuff.
No, 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 no. I'm not saying, but there always is a one or two guys. We could probably Google and find someone who's concealed carry who had a bad day and made a bad decision. Don't you
No, I don't
believe?
think so.
You don't.
I will say another thing. You will not find
But I'm not.
one.
But I'm not taking away concealed carry by any stretch. But there's always
no for in the NRA, you will not find one person that has ever done an illegal shooting. I'll say that.
I'd have to Google.
Not one.
But there's most of the time, if you're a gun carrier, a gun owner, you're more likely not to do
the
things.
NRA got started?
No.
Back when the Democrats, they just started the KKK, and they were hanging black people because they voted Republican, and they would also hang the white people if they were enabling the black people to vote Republican. And that's where the phrase vote or die came from, was the Democrats trying to force the black population to vote Democrat. Well, the NRA got started to arm the black population to defend themselves against the Ku Klux Klan.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the NRA got started.
Do you think that the NRA is still? I think they've had their teeth pulled.
They're doing their damnedest to pull their teeth.
I mean, they work their. No, I'm talking about they do it themselves.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No,
The NRA has turned a blind eye to a lot of gun control. That when back in the '60s when Ronald Reagan, remember the Black Panthers, they had that whole issue over there in California of doing gun control legislation, and the NRA was gladly supporting that. They gladly supported
Was
the
this
bump
Reagan
stock.
as a governor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is back in the '60s. So in turn, they do it to themselves. If they would stay true to the principle, they would be just fine. They could be just fine. But when they start trying to get in there, and then I think they get worried, oh my gosh, we're going to look bad if we say that gun control is bad, red flag laws are bad.
Well, I don't know, because there was a controversy of them giving so much money to these politicians and stuff like that. And then when the statistic came out, who gave more money? Was it the NRA sponsoring, like, not just sponsoring bills, but actually donating to people's campaigns? Well, it found out that they only donated $2 million. That's it. So the power, like maybe you were just talking about, maybe is not strong in that aspect. But my generation, we don't even care about the NRA. I mean, they're old school. That's like my parents' nonprofit organization for gun control. My generation doesn't really give two beans about them. They're nothing to us.
I know, because they're not standing by their principles.
I don't know if that's it.
Yeah, I would gladly say it. I think there's a lot of inside stuff that they do that they could have. They should step up and say no. Don't pass legislation. Example: when Donald Trump got rid of the bump stocks, that was silly. All you had to do was use a rubber band. But you're trying to make people feel better. That's my issue that I have. But we're getting off topic here.
Okay.
I don't like to, even though I have a personal dislike towards the NRA because I don't think they do their job. But because I think Gun Owners of America does do a better job, and I think VCDL does a better job promoting our values or pushing the gun. But what do you think is causing the inside, like why all the all the mass shootings? And I think what you can point to is a lot of loss of the family and things of that nature.
No, I think I like what Randy was saying in the beginning of the conversation. Do you remember what you said, Randy?
I said so much pearls of wisdom. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't keep track of all of it. I need to start taking notes.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with mental health, with these kids shootings. But when we were beginning this conversation, we were talking about the demographics first, and it was usually blue states that are getting these mass shootings in schools and stuff like that. But I think this last shooting really opened my eyes because of the aspect that it was Christians that were getting killed or being a target of. And that to me is ridiculous. What Randy also shared with us early in the conversation, Brian, was that people in the 80s still had gun racks in their trucks. So when the schools were not considered a gun zone, free gun zone or whatever, no gun zone. Is that what it's called?
Gun free zone.
Gun free zone. Thank you, Brian. When a school was not that, there was no shootings. But the one thing that really got me was there was only been like one or two in the last 10 or 12 years about college shootings. Because a lot of it, I noticed that America was like not really into the college, I guess, level. So I feel like a lot of this is orchestrated. And if they feel they can put fear, because one thing that I learned about the last few years of living on this planet is that the government wants to constantly put us into a stress zone and a stress mentality that we have to live in fear. Well, I can't go outside because I might get robbed. I might get punched in the face. I can't go to the subways because somebody might push me into the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all of these. I know you personally seen a lot of the videos of people getting beat up, right?
Yeah.
And for no reason. Like they're just standing there and
To them, it's a game.
Yeah. There was a shooting. A guy was trying to figure out how to use a gun, and there was a guy sitting on the sidewalk just chilling, right? And I don't think he was paying attention to the guy right beside him standing, and he just blew his brains out. And he was just sitting on the sidewalk. And then when you go to Detroit, Chicago, some places in New Jersey's under the bridge, you will see how many people are being overdosed on drugs. So it's this constant state of fear for the last good 3 or 4 years now, I would have to say. And I just feel like, okay, so people don't care or have a lot of fear about the drug overdoses. So let's talk about guns again, you know? And it's really weird how I feel like bad things happen and then we always come back to the gun shootings. You know what I mean? Now, this last one was a transgender. What are your thoughts about that, Brian?
Well, once again, I think there's a lot of drugs that are getting put into people's systems that's causing them to have issues that we need to quit, maybe slow down and quit pushing until we actually start figuring some things out. I think once again we have a family structure's been lost. I think the human life isn't precious, so that's what I think.
So I feel like that was really awesome what you just said, but I also feel like the one thing that they took away was faith in God. And once we put a magic marker over that and we try to erase that from our history, because I felt like this shooting was specifically done in a Christian school.
I did a speech in college on when they took prayer out of schools. And if you look in its government.
Oh my God, I gotta tell you. I'm so sorry. It was John F. Kennedy, who was a Democrat, that did that.
They, from government records, government statistics, the crime rate went through the roof. Unwed mothers went through the roof. Divorces went through the roof. All these things went up. The only thing that dropped was test scores in schools.
Wow.
So, and I actually, to go on another tangent, I think that's from the education department deliberately trying to dumb down the population. Because so many people have no clue in this country of what's going on, and they get their news from the late night talk shows, and then they believe what they say and vote accordingly, and the country gets worse every time because people are too stupid to do their own research.
Well, I do feel that the educational system has definitely gone a different route since I left school. And I was sharing with Brian when we were at the DAV having lunch about the two different educations I'm getting right now for one class. It's called neurology, which is the study of nerves and the nervous system and how it works in our bodies and stuff like that, right? Well, one of the things that we were learning that I totally forgot to share with you right now, just popped in my head, was what testosterone does to a female and how it changes how the mentality in our brains when we put extra testosterone and we take out estrogen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because God made us, not trying to sound so religious, but God made us different.
Mm-hmm.
Men are supposed to be different from females of their structures.
Sorry, go ahead.
We think different, we reason different. Everything is different.
Yeah.
But people are trying to say, oh, we need to be the same. No, we don't.
But what do you think, Randy, when a woman that has no testosterone is now being injecting testosterone? What do you think that could do to her mental health?
No, it's going to screw it up royal.
Right, because the body doesn't understand why is testosterone in my body? You know, I'm supposed to be making estrogen, you know? And
testosterone, legitimately, for males, that's why we're more aggressive, because of testosterone. So you put it in the female, and she's going to get more aggressive. And when she's already has the mentality of she's a little princess and nobody can raise a hand to her and she can do what she wants, then put a hormone in her that tells her to go attack people, then you're just asking for disaster.
And the other question, Randy, is, or Brian, you can answer this too. Where are the weapons coming from? See, nobody seems to ask that question, and I never understood that. When the first attack from Virginia Tech, right? That was the first gun thing that I remember, was the shooting at Virginia Tech. Nobody could answer where these weapons just magically appeared.
For a number of years, a lot of the weapons came from Fast and Furious, where Biden and Obama were sending guns across the border into Mexico to give to the drug cartels in the hopes that they would catch them with the guns and they could use that against them in courts and put them away. But I'm wondering if that's the same reason that they left billions of dollars worth of military equipment in Afghanistan.
Mm.
So
my other question is this. Maybe Brian, you can answer this one. What is it when in the 90s and the early 2000s they had buybacks? We'll give you $100 for your guns, right? So where did those weapons go? I know for a fact they did not go to a manufacturer to get remelted and magically form a statue in the middle of the
That's
streets.
what was supposed to happen when they were supposed
Right.
to.
That's all controlled by the government doing goofy buybacks.
Actually, I was hoping that they would have another buyback pretty soon. Well, I got one or two that are worth crap.
Why?
And if they give me $100 for each,
What's the problem with them?
well, they're worthless.
Do they not shoot?
Oh, they shoot fine.
Why are they
They're not
worthless?
worth $100.
Oh,
So you give me $100, I buy some groceries. Here, take it. I'm coming out ahead.
but I don't know what type of gun they are, so
So
it'd be pretty difficult to.
you just said
discuss
something
that.
really awesome, and I want to ask you your thoughts and opinions, Brian, on this. So for just like a year period, how much have you personally seen for your family a grocery bill going up?
Oh, it's
Or
going
do
up
you-
tremendously. It's probably went up at least 50%.
Okay. Wow. Only 50 for you? How much for you?
Oh, it's outrageous.
But I mean, from what I
Mine's-
usually
Mine
pick,
is 300% higher.
wow. I mean, it's definitely went up. I mean, just seeing but I mean, you're not getting as much.
But
So
it
in turn,
started
you're
when you raise fuel prices.
Yeah.
right.
So day one in office when he stopped the pipeline and stopped the drilling and handed over all oil production to Russia so they could get money to invade Ukraine.
So Randy, do you or have you experienced, right, shrinkage in the products that you buy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll charge the same price for a smaller amount, or they keep the amount the same and just raise the price. But I mean, like we no longer have a dollar store; it's a $1.25 store. I mean, it's pitiful.
I noticed that in 2021. I used to buy a Snickers bar, and it was like maybe 4 inches, right? And now it's almost, they come in 2 bite sizes,
Yeah,
and they put it in the same package as the Snickers bar. Like, I'm not going to notice. Okay.
it's probably half inch between the two cuties.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
It's like you buy potato chips and get 3/4 of a bag of air.
Right.
But that's always been like that.
That's why you buy
Really?
Pringles.
Oh yeah, Pringles is garbage.
Now,
All right.
have you noticed, Brian, in the foods that you purchase? Because you purchase food totally different the way I do, which my hat goes off to you. I couldn't do what you do. But have you noticed the things that you used to eat, not so much as a kid, but maybe through college, how it's changed in maybe the smell and taste of it? Have you noticed that?
No, not
Randy.
I
really.
noticed that a lot of things aren't available anymore.
Like what?
Like there used to be in the frozen food section.
Okay.
Aunt Jemima had these frozen breakfasts with eggs and bacon and hash browns. And I mean, there's a small little thing in right proportion.
Mm-hmm.
You will not find those anywhere now.
Dang.
They had sort of a bacon substitute called sizzling. I don't think you'll find that anywhere now.
Now, do you eat breakfast?
Yeah.
Do you eat breakfast?
So, it all depends on what time I get up.
Okay.
I'm like
I'm a
Hobbit.
breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat second breakfast.
Yeah, I'll eat third too. Morning, noon, and night.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this podcast short for the pod being live. So, do y'all have any closing remarks, real quick?
Yes, I do. You want to go first?
Okay.
Let's make it
Okay.
quick too. So,
So I just want to say to everybody that is listening that more involved that you get, the first step to getting involved is to read and do your own research. And I'm going to give you that website one more time. Okay, so the website for what I was talking about earlier is called congress.gov/bills or congress.gov/Library of Congress. And you can Google things specifically on Google or whatever, search engine you do. But inside congress.gov, you can search specific things, just put quotation marks, or if you want to look up a specific number. And it also breaks down the different sessions of Congress. And so more that you know, less that you have to depend on, what is it, Tucker, or what is that other guy, Glenn Beck, and you can actually do it yourself and be more educated in that sense. And that was congress.gov.
All right. So that's it. No, he said he was done.
No, I said she could go first.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Well, the only thing was along those lines of, I would advise people don't feel a certain way because the government or the media tells you that's the way you're supposed to react.
Amen.
Actually look into something and get the facts behind it. And don't. The only thing that goes with the flow is a dead fish.
Oh.
So
Wow.
do your own research.
You got your OnlyFans link that you want to talk about? All right.
Big sexy.
All right. So until next time, I'm Brian. That's just Randy and Lily. All right. Talk to you later. Goodbye.
Bye.
We're not gone yet.